The government has an absolutely real obsession with the spirit world. Okay, I want to show you guys these videos of how they use MK Ultra to try to tap into people's minds, but then they also tapped into remote viewing or mediums, and the way that they use these mediums proves that they not only believe in the spiritual world, but they oftentimes try to use these spiritual powers in order to do their own will and desires. Okay, I want to show you this video. It gets crazy. And at one point, they've even tried to take an Old Testament object by using remote viewing. Okay, this is crazy. Let's hop into this video, watch it, and react to it. Before we do me a quick favor. Hit that like button for the YouTube algorithm so that this video can reach more people like yourself. I truly appreciate you guys. Let's hop in.
Of MK Ultra.
They were trying to figure out, can we really brainwash people? Can we create Manchurian candidates? Can we split people's personalities? It involved a lot of former Nazi scientists and involved a lot of LSD and dosing people with massive, massive doses of LSD. And it was called Super Spy. These women would lure these men back to the hotel and drug them with LSD. We had like Project Stargate, like the Men Who Stare at Goats movie, and remote viewing and all this other stuff was.
Now, you heard him say remote viewing. Now, when I heard that, I thought that was particularly important. The reason why is because I'm going to show you guys a video of a woman that was on Sean Ryan's podcast that also said that she did remote viewing for the CIA, in which he asked her that if she've ever looked into the cross and Jesus Christ and the resurrection, in which it absolutely spooked her. I did a video on this a while ago, but if you haven't seen that video, I'm going to show it to you. But first, let's finish this one.
Going on. Then they started MK Ultra, which involved a lot of former Nazi scientists and involved a lot of LSD and dosing people with massive, massive doses of LSD and ruining a lot of people's lives in the process. But it was an attempt initially to find some kind of a truth serum. And actually the Navy participated in the biggest one, which was called Project Chatter, which is a sub-project of MK Ultra. And with this guy, he's a professor at, it's in Hamilton, New York. I can't remember the name of the Colgate University. His name's Dr. George Estabrooks. And he and J. Edgar Hoover are collaborating on a plan to use hypnosis to capture and hypnotize a German submarine captain and give him alter identities. And send him back to his fleet in Germany and have him torpedo the entire German fleet inside the harbor.
Okay, so the government was using different tactics to open up, the minds of individuals and get them to do things that they wanted them to do, as the person was saying in that last video. And he mentioned remote viewing. And that caught my attention because I did a video on this woman right here who was a medium and she could do remote viewing. And she speaks on how she was able to do that for the government for quite some time. And then Sean Ryan opens up about Jesus Christ and the cross and the resurrection and crucifixion. And if she ever tried to look into this, in which everything changed with her demeanor after he asked her this question. Okay. And I want to show you that. And it gets deeper than this. Okay. But this is crazy. Let me show you guys that real quick. Okay, so this remote viewer was having conversation with Sean Ryan throughout this entire podcast. And then the moment he brings up Jesus Christ and the resurrection, she gets absolutely silent. And you can see in her eyes that there was a large amount of distress and worry in her eyes. And she said nothing. She barely could even move her head. And a lot of people found that quite strange, but there was some people that rejected this and said that, hey, she's just not trying to expose the fact that Jesus wasn't real. Maybe she went and looked and Jesus wasn't real. Okay. And I believe that that's 100% false. But I want to show you guys some other individuals that the CIA actually used for remote viewing. And he's actually going to show you how this works in real time. They actually recorded him doing this, and he's going to show you how it works in real time. Okay. Because I do believe that these people possess the abilities to do this, but I don't believe that it's coming from God. I believe that it's coming from a different God, a lowercase g, Satan, and his angels and his demons giving these people these abilities.
You've never met, and who may even be thousands of miles away, and literally see through their eyes so vividly that you can describe precisely what they're looking at. It's called remote viewing. And one of the world's finest exponents, who's worked for people at NASA, is sitting right over here, Joe McGonigal. Thank you for coming this evening, Joe. Is it really possible to see through someone else's eyes or sense through their senses?
Actually, we're not sure exactly how it works, but it is possible to report on the position or place that they're located.
And how accurate is it?
Over a number of times, about 4,000 plus times that I've been tested in a lab under lab conditions, I'm running about 25 to 28% of the time I get to target.
And that's a very good success rate.
Yes, usually when I'm on the target, I'm around 85% correct on the information I provide.
Thank you. I'm going to come back to you in a moment. A few days ago, we set up an extremely detailed and complex experiment to test Joe's remote viewing capabilities. It was designed by scientists to ensure that he didn't have any inkling of it beforehand. Only one person in Britain knew the details, and to be extra safe, that person was sent miles away before the test began. Four sealed envelopes. Which one will he choose?
Number 4.
The die says number 4. The envelope contains the secret location for his part in this remote viewing experiment.
Okay, so this video is going to be about 5 minutes long. I need you guys to stay because after this video, I want to show you guys some information about how the CIA actually used remote viewing to try to find an important object that was represented in the Old Testament, important object from the Old Testament that they tried to find. Okay. Matter of fact, I'll just tell you, they tried to look for the Ark of the Covenant, okay, using remote viewing. And this is crazy because now you have the question, why does the government want to have the Ark of the Covenant? And also, why are they using spiritual tactics to receive the Ark of the Covenant? And that clarifies that not only does these individuals believe in the spiritual world, they're willing to use spiritual powers for their own desires and their will and the things that they want to see done. Okay. But first, let's watch this and then we'll go into that video.
Okay.
Meanwhile, Joe McGonigal is on his way to a specially prepared room monitored by security cameras, where he'll be locked away while he attempts to demonstrate his extraordinary ability. He'll never be out of sight of one of our cameras. For the first time for anyone actually involved in the experiment, the site of the remote viewing is now revealed. Joe's used to all the paraphernalia. He's been tested thousands of times by US government agencies under strict laboratory conditions.
Right. Okay. Is everything okay for you?
Oh, yes. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. So it's a minute to 10:15. We'll be starting in a minute.
Accurate timing is important. The person transmitting must be in precisely the right place when Joe starts his remote viewing.
The person who's out there at the site at the moment.
So for the remote viewing, it's as if the guy that is sitting in this chair is going to be looking through the eyes of this other individual, and he's going to draw out what he sees from sitting in this chair. The other individual, what that person is seeing, he's going to attempt to draw it. Okay, so that's essentially what remote viewing is. You can see through someone else's eyes, the lenses of someone else's mind. Crazy. This is crazy spiritual stuff, but this is stuff that they tap into, and this is what the government used. And we don't know. They may still be using it today. We don't know. But this is crazy. Let's watch more of this.
Okay.
And you've never met him before, have you?
No, I've never met him before.
This is the only information that Joe gets. It's something to concentrate on.
Okay. First impression, that I'm getting is of a, what I would call an inside corner. And there's two light colored stripes on either side.
Shaw Taylor is on the north bank of the River Thames, opposite a dockside, a power station and a railway bridge.
What I'm doing is I'm essentially, it's almost like tasting food. I'm just kind of reaching out there mentally and tasting things. I'm trying to concentrate on him and perceive what it is he's looking at. It's easy to get distracted and get information on a lot of other things in the area. I want to mix half circles with straight lines. My sense of it is some kind of a raised object, perhaps. It's starting to look a lot like a bridge, but I don't want to call it a bridge.
Okay.
I don't want to call it a bridge yet. Looks a lot like a bridge, but I don't know if this is a walkway or if this is actually a waterway. This could be water as well. I think the essential elements are vertical pillars or supports, somehow or another a going away perspective passes under this.
At this point, it's quite likely that he's stopped looking. That's what we asked him at this moment, so
Yeah.
we'll go with that then.
I'll go with number 4.
He's on his way to the location to see for himself how accurate he's been and to meet Shaw Taylor for the first time.
It's my pleasure to greet Joe. Joe, good to see you.
Glad to meet you.
Good to see you. I feel I've been talking to you for the past half hour or so.
Hopefully you have.
The moment of truth.
Water, you've got water certainly. Up here. Now I tell you what is very interesting, because I know the bridge. And I was very much aware of trains passing over it.
Yeah.
So I must confess it is quite possible. I'm not trying to stretch it too
No, I kept getting a great throughway with some kind of the arches or something at the end.
The incredible thing is that he could have described anything in London. A churchyard, a stadium, a park, a railway station, almost anything. But it was water and a bridge, just as Shaw could see it.
Okay, so he was able to essentially remote view and look into the lenses of this other individual. He saw that it was a bridge. He saw it's not 100% accurate, but if you can remember what he said that he's right out of the 4,000 attempts, he was right around 25 to 28% of the time. And even when he was on target of the right person, he was only right 85% of the time. And as he said that, and after looking at these pictures, it reminds me of back in the times with Moses and Pharaoh's, Pharaoh's magicians, and how they both were able to turn a rod into a snake. But the difference was Moses, his powers came from God. Pharaoh and the magicians, their powers came from Satan and demons. And so their snake was eaten by the snake that came from Moses, because the power of God is always going to be stronger than the power of darkness. And in this sense, it's the same thing, because we have people that are prophets and that can see visions and things of that nature. And if they are getting it from God, it won't be any type of inerrancy in what they see. There won't be any mistakes. It'll be 100% accurate, because it's coming from the eyes of God. It's coming from the thoughts. It's coming from God. It's coming from what he wants us to know. And so there is no inaccuracy when it comes to God. Okay. That's what that reminded me of. I thought that was fascinating. This is exactly what the CIA used to try to find the Ark of the Covenant. Okay. I want to show y'all that video. I thought that was pretty crazy. Let's check that out. This is wild.
Hey friends, so the CIA remote viewed the Ark of Covenant, and you are not going to believe what they found. This is mind-blowing. Check. So this secret remote viewing project was done in December of '88, and it was called Project Sunstreak. In the official report, it says training target 0209 is the Ark of the Covenant. Wow, that's so huge. So the way they do these remote viewing projects is they use a process by Ingo Swann where the person doing the remote viewing has no idea what they are viewing. It's completely blind to them. Think about this for just a minute. This is an official CIA remote viewing session in great detail about the Ark of the Covenant. Oh, let's go. All right, he starts by saying, this target is located somewhere in the Middle East as the language spoken by individuals present seemed to be Arabic. Visuals of surrounding buildings indicated the presence of Mosque Dome. He goes on to draw what he saw in the vision of the Mosque Domes, and throughout this he has a lot of sketches and doodles, and as is very normal with remote viewing sessions. He goes on, the target is hidden, underground, dark, and wet were all aspects of the location of the target. Wet, mold, some more of his notes. Then he says, fortified, guarded, watched. What? Like you're asking yourself right now, watched by whom? He goes on, watched by whom? And then he draws a kind of a wall with a bunch of people standing on it. Or so we think they're people. He writes mummies next to it and goes on to explain that the walls around the Ark of Covenant are covered with mummy. Yes, mummies! Mummies are surrounding and watching the Ark of Covenant.
Now, I'm not saying that what he is seeing is true, but we do know that mummies were very big in Egypt and that area. I don't think that the Israelites mummify their individuals like that. I'm pretty sure that was localized to Egypt. Which is kind of fascinating, but we don't know if it's 100% true or not, if that's where the Ark is. Now, I did look up where the Ark is located. Majority of people believe that it's located in Ethiopia, but it's not verified. No one really knows exactly where the location of the Ark of the Covenant is, which is kind of crazy. Let's hop back in.
And I guess these are the spirits that are protecting it. We'll get into that. Let's keep... Target is a container. This container has another container inside of it. The target is fashioned of wood, gold, and silver. The target is similar in shape to a coffin and is decorated with seraphim. Wow, dropping seraphim bombs. If you don't know, seraphim are basically the angels of the Old Testament. And the fact he says seraphim is such an exact thing, because the way remote viewing works is you don't always see things. They call it remote viewing, but it's really remote sensing. You just get a lot of information. Some of it comes in visuals, but a lot of it just comes in a knowing, what we call downloads now. You just get this knowing. You're tapping in to this information field. So the fact he says seraphim is so profound. He goes on to actually draw the seraphim, which kind of looks like a phoenix as well. And you see this symbology in a lot of ancient stuff, you know, the winged birds and the serpents and that kind of phoenix-looking bird. But the fact that he says seraphim is so, I think, profound. And let's keep going, because this gets even wilder now. He goes on to say the purpose of the target is to bring a people together. It has something to do with ceremony, memory, homage, the resurrection. There is an aspect of spirituality, information, lessons, and historical knowledge far beyond what we now know. Woof, guys, holy cow, let's look at that again. He's talking about how this coffin, this container, has something to do with the resurrection. It has to do with bringing people together. It's a ceremonial type thing, and it's very spiritual, and it holds within it lessons and historical knowledge that are far beyond what we know now. Oh, there's some important stuff in this Ark of the Covenant. So then he is told to go to the container and open it and describe it as you go. So let's see what... Foreshadowing. The target is protected by entities and can only be opened by those who are authorized to do so. This container will not and cannot be opened until the time is deemed correct. Once it is time to open the container, the mechanics of the lock system will be found to be fairly simple. Individuals opening the container by prying or striking are destroyed by the container's protectors through the use of a power unknown to us. Okay, so there's a locking mechanism that basically is like on a time type of a thing, right? So it cannot be opened except at a particular time by particular people. So that kind of aligns with what we've been told historically, right? So the Ark of the Covenant is locked. The locking mechanism is fairly simple, but We can't open it. Only certain people can. It has to be a certain time. And if you try to open it prematurely, you are destroyed by the internal protection system, or I guess the entities protecting it. It seems like it protects itself, and there's entities protecting it as well, and you are destroyed if you try to open it. And then goes into detail about what happens if you're one of the unlucky ones who try to pry it open prematurely without authorization. Destroyed, pain, anguish, terror, horror, quick death, scorched, burnt, power, forbidden, protected. Yeah, no, stay away from this thing. So just to recap real quick, somewhere in the Middle East, we come to find out later that they think it's in Ethiopia. The Ark of Covenant is underground somewhere, in a room that's guarded by spirits with mummies around the wall, and there's seraphim on the Ark of Covenant itself, and that there's a locking mechanism, which is pretty simple, but it can only be opened by particular people at a particular time, and if you try to open it prematurely, you are destroyed. Now, the official CIA write-up at the end says, Viewer 032 attained excellent site contact. So that's their stamp of approval and endorsement, saying that this remote viewer did a great job in describing the blind target, which come to find out is the Ark of freaking Covenant, which they now believe is in Ethiopia.
So like I said, the location of the Ark of the Covenant right now is not 100% verified, but Revelation 11:19 does describe how the Ark of the Covenant will be with the Lord in his temple. So where it is at this moment, we're not 100% sure. Now, I will say that the medium, the remote viewer, I would not take everything that they say as truth, but within the entire video, there were some things that we can say could be true, is that the Ark is definitely protected, that you can't open the Ark, that if you touch the Ark, you could possibly die or get sick, or something could happen that has happened in the Bible to people that have touched the Ark without being the right person to touch the Ark. Okay. And so this is crazy, man. Why does the government care so much about the Ark of the Covenant that they are sending remote viewers to try to find this thing without touching it or being at the exact location? That is a question that we need answered, okay? I did find this quite fascinating that Jeremiah 3:16 says, in those days when your numbers have increased greatly in the land, declares the Lord, people will no longer say the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord. It will never enter their minds or be remembered. It will not be missed, nor will another one be made. I thought that was pretty fascinating because we have a covenant of grace that is found through the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, the sacrificial lamb for the sins of all men. And so Jeremiah 3:16 says the covenant from the Ark of the Covenant is no longer it's no longer needed, and that we won't even think about it anymore. But then when you go to John 3:16, it says this. So Jeremiah 3:16 says that we won't remember the Ark of the Covenant, and that no one would say, hey, look, there's the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord. And then John 3:16 says, for God so loved the world that he gave his one and only son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish, but have eternal life. For God did not send his son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. Whoever believes in him is not condemned, but whoever does not believe stands condemned already, because they have not believed in the name of God's one and only son. This is the verdict. Light has come into the world, but people loved darkness instead of light because their deeds were evil. Everyone who does evil hates the light, and it will not come into the light for fear that their deeds will be exposed. But whoever lives by the truth comes into the light, so that it may be seen plainly that what they have done has been done in the sight of God. John 3:16 says that God loved the world so much, he sent his one and only begotten son, Jesus Christ, so that whoever believes in him will not perish and have everlasting life. Jeremiah 3:16 talks about how the Ark of the Covenant is no longer going to be used. It's no longer going to be recognized and sought for and thought of by God's people, but they're going to be thinking about Jesus. They're going to be calling on Jesus. The power is going to be in Jesus Christ, not the Ark of the Covenant. Jesus Christ, the one and only begotten son who died for the sins of the world. I thought that was pretty fascinating that the government is not only believes in the spiritual world, but they're actually trying to use it for their own will. And honestly, what they're using it for is not good. It's not godly. It's worldly. It's fleshly desires. It's evil. And with all that being said, although there are people that may have abilities given to them by Satan and demons, the abilities and the powers and the gifts that we get from God and the Holy Spirit can never be matched. It can never be beaten. Their powers will never be greater than the power of God. God said, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. And it's shown to us, even with Moses and his snake biting the head off of the other snake, that God's power will always remain the ultimate power. But that was crazy. That was crazy. I ain't gonna lie. I was shocked when I seen that. I want to know how y'all feel about this video in the comment section. Okay, if you're new to the channel and you like what you see, I encourage you to hit that subscribe button and hit the post notification bell so you do not miss another video. My name's Aaron Page. I'll catch y'all on the next video. Until next time, I'm out.